The vision for our parish, this community, is prayer and discernment and hospitality. Prayer, discernment, and hospitality. Now, it's a lot easier for us, I think, to get our minds around the idea of prayer and hospitality. I mean, it's easy to think of ways that we can pray, ways that we can engage God, ways that we can pray in community that will have an impact on our community. And hospitality is something that we can do really well. We can reach out to people, we can give money, we can give food, we can even serve coffee. I mean, being hospitable is kind of something we come by very naturally. But discernment, now that's something that oftentimes is difficult to get our mind and our actions around. Sometimes we think, well, discernment is for those who are hearing a call to the priesthood or the diaconate. Or maybe discernment is for those that are coming out of college and trying to decide, well, do I go to grad school, or do I get a job, or what do I do? But I think discernment is for everyone at every stage of their life. No matter how old you are faced with life kinds of questions. No matter where I find myself, whether it's at church in the coffee hour, or whether it's in the hospital, or whether it's in a care facility, and even 2 weeks ago at a party, somebody asked me, how do I discern what I'm supposed to do next? How do I figure out what's to happen in my life, where I'm to go, or what I'm supposed to do? People are always asking me to sit down and help them figure out, like when do I really give up my house and maybe live in a smaller community where people can watch and care for me? Should I really save my adult child one more time from one more big mistake? Should I quit my job today and look for another one in the state of the economy? And of course, should I go to grad school? Should I marry this person? Is it time for us to have children? Those are all questions that can paralyze us, leave us frozen, not knowing what to do or how to do that thing next. Now, this morning's gospel that we heard from Luke is an interesting text that has lots of themes and lots of possibilities. In fact, for someone that's going to preach from this text, the possibilities are almost more than you can imagine. The text can be read as a call to discipleship, or maybe a miracle story, or even a resurrection story, or a Eucharistic miracle. And of course, most people preach this as a call to evangelism, to go fish for people. But, like usual, I want us to take a little different look at this text. You're shocked, I can tell. Surprised. I want us to look at this text as a matter of a way of teaching us how to do discernment. How to process out the difficult questions of life. What do I do next? Now, it's my firm belief that hearing the Spirit of God, doing discernment, can only be done in community. Now, I can sit at home in my little cloister, and I can make all kinds of personal and unilateral decisions. But at the end of the day, all I'm left with is asking the question, am I just listening to the voice in my head? Or am I listening to the demons of distraction that swirl around me? Or is that really God's voice? For me, I need to check in with my community. That helps me sort out the things that I need to do so that I can actually have confidence that I am listening to what the Spirit wants me to do and what the Spirit is saying to me. Now, 2 weeks ago, I went to our annual Presbyters retreat. I didn't know what the annual Presbyters retreat was. I wasn't sure what a presbyter was until we had to go to it. It's a retreat for the clergy that the bishop made us go to. So So once a year, we go to where the bishop brings us together, and it really is pretty good. It's always there for something educational to teach us. We also go to pray and to worship, visit with the bishop about what his vision is, and we manage to sneak in a little fun, even though the bishop isn't sure he wants us to have that much fun with it. We always sneak that in. And so this year, the theme was peer coaching. In other words, how can we as clergy relate to one another in ways more than just friends? But how can we sit with one another and encourage one another and help us to think through the decisions that we're making? And so the bishop invited this gentleman in named Dave Reiner. And Dave is a professional peer coach. And he's really a very fascinating guy. He's a Zen Buddhist. In fact, he's considered a priest, I guess, or a monk as Zen Buddhist. But he is a life coach. That's what he does professionally. He's very fascinating. He has great stories, and he really can connect on an easy and personal way. Now, on the second day, in the afternoon, after lunch, which you know is always the worst time to try to be a facilitator for anything, Dave asked for a volunteer. And he said that he was going to give us, whoever would volunteer, he was going to give you 10 minutes of personal peer coaching. And he assured us that it would be worth our while to volunteer. I mean, he knew he was talking to a rough crowd. He knew that probably none of us were going to volunteer, and he was going to have to, pull teeth. Because the 10 minutes of personal life coaching was going to be done in front of your 60 clergy peers and the bishop sitting on the front row. I must have been possessed by one of those demons that's going around me. My hand went up, and when I tried to get down, I realized that I'd thrown my shoulder out or something. As I looked around, I realized I was the only one with my hand up. So he had no other choice but to call on me. When I went up in the front and sat on this little stage, I was looking at him, and then I made the mistake of glancing out to the crowd, and the bishop caught me, in the corner of my eye. And the only reason I didn't get up and run out of the room is because I was so lightheaded and so nauseous, I knew that I would pass out if I got it.